Bonsoir French 102 students, bienvenue au vidéo 7 du chapitre 4. So using a little more French here and there. So welcome to video 7 of chapitre 4 of chapter 4. And in this video we'll be talking a little bit about l'impératif. And you could literally translate that as imperative. And imperative in English would mean that you're obligated to do something. It's really necessary to do something. We can also call these commands. So these are forms we use to either give instructions to people or to tell someone to do something. And who among us doesn't sometimes like to tell other people what to do, right? Everybody has those moments in their lives. So I think these will be useful forms of verbs for you to learn. Okay, so once you know that you need to give a command or give instructions to somebody, the first thing you'll need to know actually in French is the kind of relationship with the person that you have. That's going to help you decide which form to use. Do you need to use the tu form, which is less formal, or the vous form, which is more formal? So maybe a child speaking to, or an adult speaking to a child would use the less formal tu form to give instructions. Maybe if a professor or a boss is speaking to a student or an employee, they'd use the vous form. It's more formal between adults. And so there are two different forms to pay attention to there. Now, if we look at these example commands, va à la bibliothèque. Okay, va is a form of the verb aller. Aller, spelled this way, is the form of the verb aller that goes with vous. Okay, now if you notice, if I were just to write a sentence, tu vas à la bibliothèque. This is a regular sentence. This is not a command. So I have the pronoun for you, informal one, tu. I have the verb that goes with that, tu vas, you go to the library. But if I'm creating a command, I'm going to remove that pronoun and I'm going to remove that pronoun. I'm going to keep that verb and I'm going to drop the S. So, va à la bibliothèque. You kind of see where it comes from. Okay, the same thing with the aller form. I could say, vous allez à la bibliothèque. Okay, so to create my command, I'm going to drop my pronoun for you. I'm going to start my sentence with aller, and I'm just going to keep it like that because there's nothing else to do in this case when I'm using vous. So it's only with verbs that end in er and aller. In these cases, for the tu form, you're going to drop the s like we did with va, and with aller, you'll be basically using the vous form to come up with that command. So va à la bibliothèque, aller à la bibliothèque. Okay, so at this point, I'm gonna give you a chance to give me a command. Tell me somewhere I should go. You can use either the tu form or the vous form. You can say the command if you want to. You can type it instead if you want to, just to give you a chance to try out different forms of communication in PlayPosit. So I'll give you a moment to tell me somewhere to go. You can either say, va à la plage, aller à l'école, va au musée, aller à la librairie, va au travail. You can come up with whatever place you want me to go. So I'll give you a chance to go ahead and try that out. Okay, so in addition to telling me where I should go, now I'm gonna have you ask me what I should not do. But before I have you do that, I'll explain to you how it works. So with a verb like manger, I'll go ahead and I'll actually put it in a different color up here. So let's say tu manges du poisson. That's you eat some fish, or you eat fish. Okay, tu manges du poisson. Now I want to make it negative. Okay, so, oh, I need to add my S there, of course. Tu manges du poisson. That's how it would look if it were just a normal statement. You eat fish. Okay, but now I want to say, do not eat fish. Okay, so I have to drop the subject. I need to start with my verb, and since it's an ER verb, I'm going to drop the S. So, mange du poisson. So it's eat some fish, or eat fish. Okay, but now I want to say don't do that. So I'm going to add, and I'll put these in different colors so it's easy to recognize. Ne mange pas du poisson. Okay, so do not eat fish. You can see the negating aspect of the sentence is in blue. The command verb is in red. Okay, and if I wanted to make it formal, all I have to do is add in a Z to the end. Now it's the vous form. Ne mangez pas du poisson. So don't eat fish. Okay, so now I'm going to give you a chance to tell me something that I should or should not eat. You can pick any food you want. It could be du pain, oh, that's bread. It could be des légumes, vegetables. It could be de la bière. No, you can't eat beer, of course. So another food that you can think of that you can put after that. So tell me what I should or what I should not eat. And again, I will let you either type your response or speak your response. Okay. And notice a couple of other or one other verb that we see here. This command is a very simple one. It's just simply listen, or it could be don't listen. So écoute is the to form, which is saying listen. Okay, and since this is an ER verb, the S is dropped. The formal form écouter is just simply dropping vous before it. Okay, so if I wanted to make this negative, notice what I have to do here. Okay, so n'écoute, and let's put this in blue. Pas. Don't listen or do not listen. That would be the informal tu form. If I wanted to make it more formal, I'm going to add a Z to the end. N'écoutez pas, so don't listen. Okay, so with the ER verbs, really all you have to remember is that for the to form, you're going to drop the S, and for aller, you'll do the same thing. But now it's going to be a little bit different when we move on to some other verbs. Okay, so we can use the imperative with other verbs that are not ER verbs. So a verb like apprendre is an RE verb. The infinitive of that verb ends in RE. Prendre, that's P-R-E-N-D-R-E. It's an RE verb. So again, it's a different kind of verb. It's not an ER verb. Lire, it's not an ER verb. Écrire is similar. And then faire. Then faire is kind of irregular in some ways. So verbs that do not end in ER do not drop the S in command. So in a way, it's actually a little bit easier. So if I were to write a sentence, for example, oops, let's move this right down here. Okay, so I'll put this in red. So I could say, tu apprends le français. It's not cooperating with me. Okay, there we go. So, tu apprends le français. You learn French. Okay, all I have to do to form the command form here is just drop tu. Apprends le français. Learn French. Okay, or apprends les verbes. Learn the verbs. Same thing with prends. So, let's say, tu prends un café. Like you are having a coffee. Maybe I want to tell you to have a coffee. So all I have to do is drop the tu and start with prends. Prends un café. So have a coffee. The same thing with lire, to read. So tu lis beaucoup de livres. So to turn this into a command, all I need to do is drop tu and start with lis. Lis beaucoup de livres. Read a lot of books. So you kind of get the idea. With these verbs that are not ER verbs, all you're doing is dropping the tu in front of it, and that forms your command. Okay, so I can also do this in a formal way. So I can say, instead of apprends le français, I can say apprenez. Let's see, le chinois. Oh, learn Chinese. Now I'm saying it in a formal way. I could say prenez un thé. Okay, so have a tea. I can say lisez ce livre difficile. Okay, so read this difficult book. Okay, so at this point, since you know a few tu form commands and vous form commands, I'm going to ask you once again to tell me something that I should do. Maybe something I should learn, something I should take or have, something I should read or write or do, as in the verb fait or fait. Okay, so tell me something that I need to do from this list. You can use either a tu form or a vous form, but just one thing that you think I ought to do. Okay, all right, so the last thing, I believe it's almost the last thing we'll look at with the imperative, is to make suggestions. That's another thing we can do with this structure. So we can say, things like let's go to the movies or let's not stay at home. So to make suggestions to other people, you use the nous form of the verb without the pronoun nous. You just drop nous. That's all you do. I could say nous allons au cinéma. We are going to the movies. But if I want to make a suggestion, I just drop nous. Allons au cinéma. Let's go to the movies. Okay, I can make it negative simply by putting ne and pas around my command form. Pretty easy. So, restons à la maison, ne restons pas à la maison. I could do the same thing with cinéma right here, except that I'm going to have to make it a contraction because allons starts with a vowel sound. So I can say n'allons pas au cinéma. Let's not go to the movies. Of course, that's not what it originally said there, so I will put it back. Okay, so allons au cinéma, ne restons pas à la maison. Okay, another way that you can propose doing something or make a suggestion, like how about doing this or why don't we do that? You can ask a question with the pronoun on, which can mean we, it can mean il, elle. It really depends on the situation you're using it in. So we could say on va au cinéma. You want to go to the movies, or how about going to the movies? Qu'est-ce qu'on fait ce soir? What shall we do this evening? Or what do you want to do this evening? So it's kind of like what we learned about before with on y va, with the pronoun I, like on y va. So you could perfectly replace au cinéma right here with the pronoun I. On y va. So on va au cinéma. On y va. Oh, are we going to the movies? Or how about going to the movies? Let's go there. Okay, so I will give you a chance to jump in and give me a suggestion about somewhere we should go. You can use the nous form, like allons au or allons à la, like allons à la plage, for example. You can use the more informal way of doing this, like on va au musée, on va à la plage, on va à l'université. So you can go ahead and jump in here and tell me either something in a more formal way or a less formal way, something that we should go and do. Okay, and finally, just to introduce a few last imperative verbs here with the verbs être and avoir. These are irregulars, and so it's good to know what these irregular forms are. So for the verb être, to be, the informal to form would be sois sage, be good. Sage is another, it's like an adjective for behave well or be well behaved. Sois sage. Okay, if I want to use the nous form, like making a suggestion, I can say soyons prêts. So let's be ready. Or if I'm being more formal with the verb to be, I can say soyez à l'heure. So be on time. Okay, I can also use command forms with the verb avoir. So I can say aie confiance, have confidence. And that's the less formal way of saying it. I can make a suggestion. I can say ayons de la patience. So let's have some patience. And finally, I can be more formal and I can say ayez confiance, have confidence. So ayez confiance mean the same thing. One is tu, one is vous. Okay, so I think that covers everything for l'impératif in chapter 4. I hope you have fun giving me some commands if you decide to do the interactive parts of the video. And I look forward to seeing you all for video 8.